Let's bring in Philip Bump, a national correspondent with the Washington Post. Philip, you just heard from President Trump there. A more subdued President Trump, a little too late. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, over the course of his both his candidacy and his presidency, we've seen two different Donald Trumps. There's the Donald Trump you see on Twitter, and there's the Donald Trump you see on the teleprompter. Last night was a classic teleprompter Trump. It was him reading prepared remarks, saying the things that need to be said, which he wouldn't innately say himself. So we saw the same pattern after Charlottesville in 2017, for example. Immediately afterward, he came out, he offered some praise to the people that were there protesting on behalf of the far right. The next day, he gave a very measured teleprompter speech. Then the day after that, annoyed at the teleprompter speech, he again spoke from the heart and talked about the very fine people. We've seen this pattern before. I think everyone by now recognizes that what we heard Trump say last night was not necessarily what he truly believes.
Do you think he was at all influenced or perhaps subdued by the fact that there are growing calls, Philip, for the 25th Amendment to be used to get him out of office even before the 20th of January?
Yeah, I think that President Trump sort of had this sense of impermeability over the course of the past several years. He felt like he was the king of the Republican Party, that no one was going to buck him, that he had the base, that he was able to control where things were going. And I think that when he lost in November, he didn't realize that that was going to mean that power very quickly shifted away from him, particularly given that on Tuesday, Democrats regained control of the Senate. Republicans are at an ebb in their power in Washington, and people are pointing the blame at Donald Trump, who, of course, himself is losing power in a little under 2 weeks. I don't think he understood the risk that posed to him personally, that he wasn't necessarily going to have Republicans standing around him in the way that he had. And so when he fomented this insurrection on Wednesday, the aftermath of it, the backlash to it, was very significant, in part because he simply isn't as powerful as he used to be.
Okay, he's not, and that certainly registers for the folks around him. More and more resignations from the Trump administration happening right now. Does it even matter? Is it significant or insignificant at this stage?
It's a really good question. It's sort of, I think, it happens on a case-by-case basis. The fact that we're 2 weeks away from when all these people would be out of jobs anyway is certainly a shadow that overhangs them. You know, I mean, how sincere is Betsy DeVos's resignation from the Department of Education when she was going to be out in 2 weeks? It's sort of hard to evaluate, right? This may be a chance for people concerned about their own reputations to try and whitewash them a little bit by saying, oh, actually, I resigned from the administration. But of course, the fact was that they're going to be out of job shortly anyway. I think there are probably some people who are very sincerely acting. But look, if you were not someone who, I mean, granted, Charlottesville was not quite as bad as this week was. This week was one of the worst points in American history, certainly. But nonetheless, if you stood by President Trump through all of the things that he's done over the course of his past 4 years and only now are saying, oh, well, this is a bridge too far, I think that certainly adds some asterisks to your resignation.
Okay, we're looking forward to Inauguration Day on the 20th. But if this week's any indication, we got to buckle up here. Philip Bump, national correspondent with the Washington Post. Thank you for this, sir.
Of course, thanks.